Well, hey guys, and welcome to the Friday live stream. So glad you guys are jumping on today, and I'd love to know where you're watching from on this Friday morning, and just see where in the world, are we all connecting from? We're all trying to do the same thing in our local churches and our local bodies, and so I love that on these live streams we can just help each other, build each other up, and encourage one another. So thanks so much for hopping on the live stream today. I have 16 different live streams that have been submitted. So I don't know if we're going to get to all those, but what that tells me is that I guess this is helpful for you guys. And one of these days I'm going to start bringing on like a co-host person that maybe we can bounce ideas and stuff off each other in the future. It's not happening today, sorry. So it's just me. You're stuck with me. But drop in the chat where you guys are watching from. I always love to know just how far the reach is getting out there. So let's see. We've got Afton hopping on from Yakima. Awesome. Jeff is here from Fort Myers, Florida. Noah is back in the chat from New Palestine, Indiana. Charles, Indiana crew represent. Let's go, baby. What do y'all call yourselves, Indianans? Because, I'm an Okie, an Oklahoman. Lafayette for me. There you go. Awesome. Well, that's Danny Green from Concord. And we got Paul jumping in from Bahrain. See, that's what I'm talking about. Isn't that crazy? That's awesome. Very, very cool. And then Calvary Chapel, Virginia in the house, and Isaac from Dayton, Ohio. It's just cool. I love to see just the body of Christ, coming together to try and do great things for God's glory. That's what it's all about. So drop any questions you might have for me today in the chat. Maybe between live stream reviews, we can hop in there and give each other feedback or answer questions. Or if you see somebody drops a question in the comments and you know the answer, please feel free to answer them back, so that way we can just keep rolling. But I love just getting on here and doing this. And let's hit a couple of these questions. Before we do, I really appreciate the encouragement there, Fam TV. Hey, Rylan, thanks for everything you do. Man, I love getting to do what I'm doing. Jeff has a good question here. Did you ever get your Atem and Unify problem solved? Yes, I did. Praise the Lord. And that was way too difficult. So what you're seeing right now, this live stream, is actually, it's coming from, let me take that off. So it's coming from my Atem Extreme. See, I thought I had an Atem Mini Pro that was sitting here, and I went round and round, couldn't figure it out, and I just thought maybe it was the Atem Mini Pro that just wasn't playing nice, because I could go from USB out of the Atem Mini into my MacBook, and that would stream fine to YouTube. But whenever I tried to use the Ethernet out of the Atem Mini Pro, it just didn't. Y'all, if you've been on here a minute, then I was having lots of issues. So then I got the Extreme. I wanted the Extreme for the Super Source and other things as well. I was able to sell the Atem Mini Pro, but then I was having the same issues. And so the way that I solved it after a lot of research, I guess it's something to do with Unify not liking the Atem's newer firmware switch to HTTPS. No, RTMPS or some. I don't remember now. I fixed it, and that, you move on once you fix something. Something about they changed the way that they're sending the stream out. So the way I fixed it was I went back on Blackmagic's website and downloaded the original Blackmagic desktop video that came out when the Extreme came out. And then whenever I plugged in my USB-C into my MacBook, once I had that loaded on, it asked me if I wanted to update the firmware because it was actually downgrading it to the original firmware. So when I did that and I did all my testing, everything seems to be working well again. So that's a solution. That's an actual solution. I don't know what functionality I've lost by doing that. There may be other things that I've lost in, firmware upgrades that they've done. But so I've just stressed to like my guys in the booth, like if the Web Presenter HD ever asks for updates somehow, if you're plugging it in somehow, don't update the firmware, because it for some reason doesn't play nice with my Unify stuff. And it's been interesting because I've seen like more and more of people just having this same issue, and chalking it up to just internet issues or something like that. But that was the solution. So let me know if it's looking good and sounding good today out there. I really appreciate that. Okay. What are you using? Oh, look at that. And it's messed up. I probably need to fix that. Calvary Chapel, what are you using for overlay of the comments on the stream? So I am using this program called H2R Graphics. It's a free, they have a free version of the software. It's developed by Here to Record, John over there, and it's really, really handy. And right now I've even got I've got your comments, the social tab of it set up on this iPad, and it just connects over IP, and I can run the rundown of different titles and stuff. That countdown timer that you saw at the beginning, that 5-minute countdown timer, that was all within Here to Record. And it will also, I haven't figured it out quite yet, but it'll, like, if y'all super chat anything, it's supposed to like automatically play confetti on the screen or something, and show your super chat. So it's really handy. It's meant for like live streamer, YouTuber guys. In a church context, I don't know that it's like the most effective thing. Maybe for simple stuff, it might be interesting. I could definitely see using this for like if you're doing like a live stream with the pastor, a Q&A thing with them. Doing something like this would be great. But if you use Restream or I don't know if any of the others, like I know Ecamm Live can do it. It has that kind of built in. So for a while I was using Restreams, and it works well too. So that's what I'm using. I did go ahead and pay for the upgrade. Like the countdown and stuff is not completely free. Hey, from Indonesia. That's awesome. Here was another question. Let me get rid of these so I know that I'm done with them. You can kind of put them in folders, the comments and stuff. So as I see these come in, I kind of can mark them. FamTV, on the GVM, he's talking about the slider that we use. How do you start and stop, or do you set start and stop points every time that you power cycle it? Or is there a way to save those points? Unfortunately, yes, you have to set those start and stop points on the track every time. So it's on, a 48-inch slider. And once you power cycle it, it loses those endpoints. And so I'm sure if you're asking this question, you've probably had that issue where you forgot to set it, and all of a sudden it's trying to go off to the end. And it's like, da, 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 da. It's literally the worst noise in the world. And everybody's looking at you, and you turn it off really quickly. So yes, you do. And it takes 30 seconds to do it. It's just remembering that when you power it on the first, every time on a Sunday, you need to go ahead and set those start and stop points. But that is just the nature of the GVM. And I don't know, there may be other, like, I don't know if Edelkrone and those others can save endpoints or not, but yeah, he says, exactly. Yeah, that's you've experienced that. That's funny. Why don't you use camera jib at CBC Owasso? So our room, while it may look pretty big on the stream, it's really not that big. And the churches that I've been in that have jibs are considerably bigger than ours. And for us, it would take up a pretty big footprint. I mean, jibs, you don't realize it, how much space they take up. Most churches that I've been to have a pretty big portion of chairs taken out. I could be wrong about that. It's just the ones I've seen. You know, you probably lose, I don't know, 15 chairs or so. And then it's just pretty obtrusive. And as I've kind of gradually built our live streaming stuff in our room, I've tried to be pretty conscious of not causing distraction in the room to our people that are worshiping there on site. And so a jib for us definitely would have been a pretty big distraction. And so we use the cable cam to kind of get that jib type shot. Now, it's not zooming in and out. I mean, you can't do quite as much, but I think it accomplishes the job. Oh, wow. Let's see. Let's try it out. So Jeff just donated $10. Let's go, Jeff. Why does it not show like the big fun stuff? I don't know, Jeff. Maybe there's like a setting here in H2R. Let me go into the settings. Visit docs. Maybe I could actually read the manual. We're not going to do that on the live stream though. Dang, sorry, Jeff. I really appreciate that though, and that'll pay for my lunch. But speaking of the jib shot, why don't let's just look at our Easter service from this last Sunday. It was Easter, y'all. How was your Easter? I hope it went great. Hopefully there was no worship fails or tech catastrophes. Ours went very, very smooth. It was not perfect. I mean, what is perfect, you know? But I thought we'd just go over here, and I think you can see a couple of these shots that you were asking about, but this is kind of how we started our service. We did the King of Glory that we did for our night of worship, and it has that big, long, extended intro, and you'll see here, So service just started. We had some LED lights shining in the baptistry that were really old, and now you can see they are not flicker free. I mean, I don't usually notice that, but they're just old and janky in that way. If the water spills out on top of them,
good morning,
it's no big deal.
And happy Easter. Come on, it's a great day.
So this is all to teleprompter to match that video in the background. So what I'm saying is pretty close to what's on the screen, kind of added some different words. Here's the guy on a gimbal for us, our roaming cam guy. That is sending from a G85. So you can see this shot right here. We had moved our GVM slider actually earlier in the week, and when we reframed it, we did not leave quite enough headroom there because we add those black bars on top and bottom. So yeah, I had two videos playing simultaneously in ProPresenter, the one for the front of house, and then the teleprompter video that was automatically that I'd preset to show when to say what words. And so just trying to give that like, hey, we're amping up, it's Easter, come on, let's celebrate. Yeah, see, there you go. Here we go.
The Lamb who was slain, the risen King, Jesus, stand with me.
Let's go. So this song was our most played song of 2021. So our people definitely know it by now. I think we did it 21 times in 2021, and we've probably done it 3 or 4 times this year. So yeah, that was how we kicked off our service. But did we show? Let me see if we showed the cable cam any. There's a roamer again. I'll find it. There you go. All right, so here's like, we maybe had it set a little too slow, but you can watch. This is our fake jib shot. So they can control the pan on that gimbal that's on there and the tilt, but they can't control. Now that bugs me. I don't like going from this shot to this shot because they're too wide shots, but whatever. we had a great day though. I mean, Easter was awesome. We had, I think, 100 more people this year than we did last year. I think we had about 600 people. So yeah, it was a great day. Here's a follow-up question. Why don't you use LED wall and still use a projector? One word: money. Like, LED walls are so expensive, and then rigging, and then upkeep. We don't really have a good way to rig an LED wall. Above our false ceiling, our drop ceiling, it's probably another 20 feet to the beams of our building. And so then we're looking at ground support, and the LED wall would actually be in the back of our choir loft. And so there's just not a great way to do it at this point for us. Plus, it's just so expensive. So we have a 6,500 lumen laser Panasonic projector. So that is why. All right, here's a good question. Tried rigging up the cable cam with a Sony a6100, but the slack in the cable was just too much to stay out of a doorway. Any tips? So how many feet are you trying to go with that? Ours is going about 45 feet when I measured it the other day, because somebody was asking me this. It may have been you, Isaac. I'm not sure. But two suggestions. For us, on one end of our rigging, we actually have a ratchet strap that we attach the wire roll light cable to, and then we ratchet strapped it down pretty tight. I mean, it's, you don't want to go too tight with it, but the other option, if that scares you, I've seen in the wire roll light Facebook group, people have tried other kinds of cables, like maybe a more like aircraft cable type cable that is more rigid. I don't know. I've not tried that. I've just seen people talk about using that or doing a second guide wire to help keep it up. But yes, you're going to get droop in it, especially depending on the weight. So you have to account for that on how high your cable cam rigging points are. So our rigging points are probably at about 10 feet. And then our cable cam droops down to probably about right under 7 feet. And that's including like the wire roll light and the Moza Air with our, what is on there now? I think the Panasonic G7 is on there now. So those are my tips. Oh yeah, let's go, Charles. 141 light queues with automated slides all running off Timecode. Yes, awesome. Nothing crashed and burned. I wonder how you're running Timecode. Are you using QLab? Are you using something else? Anytime we've been doing stuff like that, we usually just do it all from ProPresenter. So if you're interested in hearing how we send all of our MIDI cues out of ProPresenter, I know I have a video on our church channel about it. I don't remember if I put that out. I probably needed to do a new version of that with Pro 7, because back whenever I made that video it was Pro 6, but the same concepts apply. Let's see if this is going to fit on there. Okay. If you were to move to a new church building and no budget constraints, what hardware, software, live streaming infrastructure would you keep, and what would you like to change if it became possible? Yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, I'm seeing lights flickering in our new building venue out there, so it's distracting me. So yeah, I've gotten this question before. Like if money was no limitation, what would you do? What would you change? For broadcast stuff, well, hopefully at NAB tomorrow we're gonna have the Blackmagic new switcher that is probably going to come out. That's going to be exactly what we want, and I won't have to be jerry rigging two Atems together. I would probably have a smart video hub to be able to control stuff. Camera wise, I like the Blackmagic G2 the Ursas that are new with like servo zooms from Canon. Basically, just go do what Drake Kelch does and just spend all the money that he does on stuff, and we'd get all the Defy products, the rhythm tracks, the Dactyl cams, maybe some C200s, or well, probably better than C200s now. I don't know. I mean, the thing about it though is there's a certain, like, what's that called? The law of diminishing returns, right? Where the more money you keep spending, the less improvement you see marginally. And so, like, I feel like there's like a level when it comes to live streaming gear, just cameras in church. For us, we don't do iMag, so I don't ever have to worry about that, but other people do. But depending on how much you want to spend, like, you just start getting less and less for that dollar. And so I kind of feel like I'm in the sweet spot as far as how much money I've spent on my stuff compared to what we're getting out of it. And so I don't know. That's just some off the cuff ramblings. Charles, sounds like you should take out the drop ceiling and make your room taller. Yeah, we've definitely talked about that, but really, I just want a blacked out ceiling. I would be cool with a blacked out above the audience drop ceiling, but then maybe above the stage have it open to where we could have more rigging and stuff, because rigging anything new is a nightmare. When people build churches, they think this is how they're never going to want to change anything, right? It'll just be like this for the next 100 years. And so, yeah, maybe you've experienced that in your church. If your church is older than mine, I'm sure you have. This church was built in 2004. So maybe you're in a building that was built in the 60s and you're like, yeah, I'm working around wood beams in every sideline. So that's definitely been something we've talked about. Do I recommend a broadcast camera or a mirrorless camera? It just depends on what you're trying to get. When I think broadcast camera, I'm thinking of someone sitting on sticks with zoom and focus demands, sitting in a chair, and they're pan following and doing that kind of thing. When I think like just a mirrorless camera, I'm thinking, they're just different use cases. Can you use them for both? You can, but it just depends, man. Okay, Charles said they were doing SMPTE timecode coming from the keyboard's main stage rig, converted to MIDI using Lockstep. I've not heard of Lockstep. Interesting. And then they sent that over to the AV network to the lighting and ProPresenter machines. Okay, so it's all over the network. Share the love, that's right. There was, oh, look, I'm out of focus. Come on, Canon RP. There we go. There was a semi-interesting news from Blackmagic a couple days ago. They came out with that weird little hyperdeck with the jog wheel on it. But the jog wheel is kind of interesting to me now because our pastor has been using that TV with a teleprompter. And so he has a teleprompter app that we run off his MacBook Pro. And somebody sits there with two fingers and scrolls up and down on it. And the jog wheel thing seems like a more precise, easier method to run a teleprompter with. And so that is interesting. Nothing else about it really interests me, especially for like $500. But my only issue with that, though, is that to get the scripts on there, you have to like load them on with an SD card or a hard drive. And he's constantly tweaking it, before service. And so I don't know that would work. If there was a way where you could plug USB-C from the jog wheel thing into like the MacBook and just control it with the jog wheel, but then now you're paying $500 for just a wheel. And there's probably something else out there that can do that. I mean, I guess essentially a mouse ball would be the same thing, right? So I don't know. That looked interesting. I am curious what's going to happen at NAB, if we're going to have any big announcements. So do you ever go overseas and see other churches' setups? So the only time that I've been overseas is to actually do videography for a nonprofit that we partner with, called Project Hope Worldwide, and they have sent me. They've paid for me to go to their locations in Uganda, in Nicaragua, and in Juarez, Mexico, and then they also have one in Southeast Asia, but I haven't been to that one. I've been to the others though, and seen churches and done a little stuff like that there. I loved the church in Uganda that we went to. Man, it was awesome. Now I can't remember the name of it. It's pretty big. But no, I've not gone just specifically to help people with their setups. I'm assuming that would be pretty cost prohibitive, especially with like Zoom and stuff that we have nowadays. So what I do though, is I do a ton of just Zoom calls with people that you can book. And so if that's something you're interested in, I think I have a link in the description of this video. And I do it through this system called Jimmy. I think it's like $40 for a half hour and $75 for an hour. And I was talking to somebody this last week, and afterwards I was thinking about it, like some of the stuff that he had planned for the system that he was putting in. I made some suggestions on changing a couple things. And, I think that I'm adding value to people whenever they do that, because like if you're planning a system, maybe I just saved you $1,000 and you spent $40 making a call with me. I don't know. So I think it's worth it. And I love getting to do that because we just get to connect and hear each other's hearts on doing ministry and stuff like that. So if you're interested in doing something like that, check out the link in the description. Saints Radio. Hey, what camera are you using right now with this live video? And what are your thoughts about using S22 Ultra camera phone? Thanks. I'm thinking that's like a Galaxy Ultra maybe or something. I'm not an Android guy. So this camera that you're seeing, I wonder if I click that. Oh, it does work good. This camera that you're seeing right now is the Canon RP with an 85 millimeter 1.8 lens, and it is set on autofocus, and I don't even know what profile, but probably ISO 640 at 2997. This little camera over here, I just threw up really quickly, and I actually purposely have it a little darker. This is a G7 with a 12 to 35 from Panasonic, and that I just had up there for the countdown. So that's what we use here. I don't use the Canon in our live stream. In our worship center, it's all Panasonic stuff in there. So here's a good question. And then we're going to move into some live stream reviews, because we've been on here about 30 minutes. And this, honestly, I love this. How do you manage onboarding new media team members for front of house mix? That's a good question. I do have a vlog that you can check on my channel just about onboarding volunteers and our process for that. But specifically for front of house mixing, my method has been trying to think about, like, I personally have asked certain people to be our front of house audio guys when we've added new people. And to me, the best audio guys typically have some type of musical experience, because they understand how music is built, songs are built, the layers, soloing, chorus, bridge, verse, all those sorts of things. And then we can train them on actually running the soundboard. But just to be real practical, the way we usually do it, I have someone come in, and when no one else is there, and since we have a digital soundboard, we have the ability to record our full mix, all 32 channels, into waves, light, I think is what it is. So what we do usually is I will actually mix the sound for them. So all we're doing is playing back last week's service. And so I'll zero out just the faders of our soundboard and, have that start to play. And I'll kind of talk to them about what, just the sound of everything. Okay. And then we'll build that mix. We'll kind of walk around the room. I'll talk through some different things about our setting and our space and things to look for, just tips about running sound in our auditorium. And then after that, I'll let them kind of we'll zero the mix back out, play a different song, and let them kind of take a stab at it. And I'll just sit out in the audience. And after a song, I'll come back and kind of give them some tips. And then after that, we'll do an actual breakdown of like every button on the soundboard and what it does. So once they've done that, then they're going to shadow somebody else that is as a proficient audio engineer on our team, and just be at the soundboard during a service, because you know how it is. Like sitting out in the audience is different than being up in the booth. You know, like our booth is elevated and you might feel the subs are really kicking up there, but then you go out in the audience and you're like, oh, I kind of lost a little bit of the bass. So that's some of the basics. Hopefully that helps. If you have digital soundboard though, I would definitely look into doing that. All right, let's go for some live stream reviews. Like I said, we've got 16 live stream reviews to do today. If you're interested in having your stream reviewed, there's a link in the description. Probably not going to get to it today, to be real honest with you. But and I'm not going to do super deep dives on these because there's so many, but hopefully I can give you some valuable feedback. And I'm not just here to butter your biscuit, even though I will if it's good. I always try to find something positive, because just the fact that you're putting in the effort to do this for your church is amazing. And that you're willing to put this out there to get some feedback on. So here's our first one, Living Faith Church, Tyler. He has 3 PTZ optic cameras, a Roland mixer, it looks like, into OBS, and they use Subsplash for hosting. Wants the most feedback on just the audio mix. So let's just give it a listen, and you guys in the comments give some feedback on the audio mix, because that's what he's requesting. And then if we see other things, we'll throw it out there too. I hear it. I don't see it. I think. Okay. They just don't have the cameras on yet. All right, so I will say off the bat, the positives that I hear the different instruments. The vocal clarity is there. Like I can understand the words that he's singing. So that's good. Let's keep listening. We sing with all we are when we claim your victory. Let it rise. Let praise arise. Oh, we'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giant zoom in your PTZ there while it's live. I'm not a fan of that. You got to reframe while it's off. So here's my initial feedback just listening to the first verse of We Praise You. I would say the mix seems a little dry to me. So it just seems like everything is very direct into the board. And then there's no audience mics. There's no reverb on things. It seems pretty dry. Like the vocal especially seems pretty dry. It sounds like you're probably using electronic drums, but let's listen some more. Let it rise, let faith arise, let it rise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. Okay, let's fast forward just a little bit further in the service and see what else we have going here. All right, here we go. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems a little dry to me. Adding some audience mics just to capture some of the room, because for all I know, like, is there anybody even in the room? Like, I don't know that I've seen a shot that even shows people. Is this one? Yeah. And there may not be people in the room. So that would be pointless to audience mic them, but you can still add, you want it to feel live, you know, and not just like a straight recording into a soundboard. So camera wise, like I said, try not to switch whenever you're actually reframing the PTZs. White balance looks pretty decent on them. They just look standard PTZ-ish to me. Like this shot right here, you know, it's like this bird's eye view, kind of like looking down from, you know, a wall at her. So that's my initial thoughts. Hopefully that is helpful. Any thoughts from you guys in the comments today? Basis is kicking. Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah. Oh, you know, I wasn't watching I was not watching the lyric slides. That's a good point. Always want to be changing a little bit early. People can't participate and sing along if they don't know the words. And so, yeah, that's definitely a pet peeve of mine is, it's gotta be ahead. You know, I'd rather it be too soon than too late. All right, let's look at our next live stream review. So thanks, Tyler, for submitting that. This is Harbor Light Community Chapel. This is Carson, and it says they have 4 PTZ cameras, that he really doesn't like them. We also have a Blackmagic 4K Studio with a Tokina 70mm to 135. I wonder what... Oh, okay. Yeah. And then they have an Atem, and they run that through a matrix to the live stream. And they're going to get an Allen and Heath SQ5 and Live Professor to mix on. But he wants the most help on directing, shot composition, and pacing. Well, with 4 PTZ cameras, we'll see what you're doing with it. I think I might already have it open here. All right, here we go. All right, so there's your standard PTZ, a little bit high in the center shot. Not a bad establishing shot right there, though. On your PTZ cameras, if they can do slow pan in or slow zoom in, slow zoom outs, you know, definitely utilize that. We'll see.
Let's sing out and worship the Lord this morning. God is able. He will never.
Okay, so the white balance looks way off on this shot to me. Look at skin tones on this shot and this shot. That's good framing though, right there. The waist up shot, I like that. The hard thing with when your cameras are positioned too high like this, which I don't want to say it's too high. Let's look at oh no, the bass player is just up on another level. Never mind. I was thinking it was like super high and that the bass player was on the same level as you. No. I don't know who, this may not be you, but of the lead singer here. Let's keep going. See some shake in that one too. Not much. Same thing with this one. It just looks too orange, too warm, and the compression on YouTube's not doing it any favors. If you look at her face there.
Lifted up, defeated the grave, raised to life, our God is able. In His name, we overcome for the Lord, our God is able.
Let's go. All right, you got to go to an instrumentalist right here, or a wide. Okay, there you go.
God is with us. God is with us.
Okay, so it looks like you've got a wide, a tight. Oh, what happened here? What in the world? Let's see.
God is with us.
They fixed it.
is on our side. We'll make
Ah, there we go.
above all we know.
It's much better.
Above all we hope.
It looks like they're live tweaking it though. Okay, so here's a fourth one, a side angle.
Lifted up, defeated the
At least you can see people worshiping and stuff in that shot. That's cool.
race to life. Our God is
All right, I'm gonna turn down here. And we'll just kind of pick through here. Still messing with it. Still messing with colors. At least they notice though, you know, and sometimes it's all you can do. That definitely has happened to us where it's like, oh, it's on the wrong preset. You know, we got to tweak that. You know, if you can do it while it's not on that shot, it's great. That's better for sure. But like that pick guard back there is a white pick guard. So that should be white and it still looks a little off to me. Maybe I should do like an actual video about how to white balance your cameras. No matter what camera you have, how do you actually achieve it? Because it's a little harder than you would think in a worship center with sometimes mixed key lighting and then competing with all these different LEDs and color lights that you have and effect lights, you know. Maybe that would be helpful. If that would be helpful, let me know in the comments. I'm going to just look at these comments real quick. Ah, thanks, Dan. I'm glad you. Hopefully that was helpful. Come on, RP. There we go. All right, so I like that you zoomed in here on your drummer to give a little bit of a different shot there. You know, this wide shot, it would be great if it could have some movement to it in and out. We have a wide shot that's not, but we hardly go to it. That's one thing that I'm lacking here with the PTZs. It just feels very like static, you know, like at least you do have some different shots to bounce around between. That camera's looking better. Oh no, come on, internet. So composing the shots, actually like framing them is really pretty good. Not too much headroom, anything like that, but I don't know. Those are some of my initial thoughts. Let's keep going. Who's next? Who's the next victim? Edgewood Assembly of God, Brian Cox. They have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K and a cheap old Canon camera, Atem switcher, and an iMac. So let's pull it up, and they want help on camera angles and coloring. These are Pocket 4Ks, so when it comes to that kind of stuff, they should be pretty flexible. I don't know what lenses he has on here. Oh, I have to go forward here. All right, here we go. This was Brian Cox.
Come all you weary, come all you thirsty, come to the well that never runs dry. Drink of the water.
You got those backgrounds from Lowe's Home Depot. Yeah.
Come all you sinners, come find his mercy. Come to the table, he will satisfy. Taste of his good.
So I would just say off the bat, not knowing anything about your church, and that's what sometimes we need to look at these through the lens of someone who hasn't been to our churches before, because you know our live stream stuff is really the front door of the church. So you're coming out of this welcome home straight into a tight shot. And let's see, does he talk right at the beginning?
You would stand with us in worship this morning.
So during this instrumental, while you're just killing time to start the first verse, you know, do we have other 4Ks that we can go to that show the room, that establish the setting of where we're at? That's what I would be looking for. You know, we've sat on this tight shot for way too long. All right, so even this shot would be great to go to during that first opening instrumental.
For God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in him.
All right, let's just look at the cameras. So the framing on this was not bad. It seems a little warm to me. a little underexposed to me. Maybe just a tad. So I've only seen these 2 shots, and I'm not a fan of the logo on the lower thirds. It seems unnecessary to me. I don't know. It doesn't add much for me. Lyrics are very clean, though. We're just bouncing back and forth between these 2. And then, okay, are we following here? Okay, so they just did that opening song, it looks like. So, I mean, same kind of thoughts here, is that it's kind of boring to watch. You probably have so much more energy in the room, but just watching this bounce back and forth between these 2 shots, I mean, it's just kind of boring. And I don't know how you fix that off the bat, but just having somebody operating this one camera to change the shot, to bounce between a wide shot and a tight shot, or on a different instrumentalist if you only have 2 cameras. So that's my initial thoughts. What do you guys think in the comments? Brian, thanks so much for submitting. I hopefully that's off the cuff, some decent feedback. Yep, we used those same backdrop panels for our Cozy Christmas Cottage stage design a couple of years ago. Yes, Charles, I feel you, because we have a bunch of those panels as well. The thing that bugs me about those panels is that one vertical strip of wood that separates them all and makes them where you can't flip them over to like kind of make it look like they're not all the same panel, you know, to try and make it mismatchy to where it kind of convinces people more. But we've used them a lot for sure. We've used them for photo backdrops. Speaking of photo backdrops, did you watch the video that I dropped this last week on the channel just about our Easter photo backdrop? I gave some tips, some different thoughts of other previous ones we've done and why we continue to do them. Yeah, Charles says that annoyed him too. Yeah, it's like, why? Why couldn't it just be horizontal lines? I think that they're made to like have like a banister rail, maybe as like you put them horizontally and it's like a banister rail at the top kind of thing or something. So, I don't know. Let's keep going on these. Higher Grounds International Worship Center, Elliot. Elliot says they have 4 stationary Canon Vixia G50s, 2 center, 1 left and right. Okay, so just kind of your standard setup. Atem Mini Extreme ISO, Allen Heath QU, dedicated stream bus. Okay, well, Elliot, let's take a look-see. Oh, what did he want the most help on? Camera angles. Okay. Let's go back to where we start. Okay, Higher Grounds International. We're on the right thing here. So that's kind of a nice backdrop. It's definitely different than most churches are doing. It's very clean and bright. You got your TV in the middle there. So okay, so shots and compositions. This is a really good, just medium opening shot that you can show these 4 singers. But you said you had 4 cameras. Currently, I'm only seeing just this one. So if you have 4 cameras, definitely use them. Because I haven't seen any of the band or the audience. Yeah. But as far as like the look, the G50 is doing okay on this shot. Looks like you have plenty of light. Now there's no lyrics or anything for people to at least read or engage with online. That's something to think about. I don't know, maybe. Wait, who's singing this? Hold on. So someone's actually singing that's not on camera, which can be a little confusing as a viewer, you know? So just thinking through those things. This is the link he sent me. I didn't just pick one off their channel. So that's just some of my initial thoughts. If your other cameras are colored and look and match this, then, you know, you're off to a decent start there. The deal with those G50s, like the dynamic range is pretty low, but, you know, it looks like you have plenty of light in the space. So that's my initial thoughts. On to number 5. All right, AHOP. And Jason submitted this one, right? Am I on the right thing? Am I on the? Hold on, I'm looking on the wrong screen. No, we're not to Jason yet. I have this open in 2 spots. Oh gosh, I've broken everything. What did I do? Oh, come on. Oh, I know what I did. Ha! You know, I have 2 screens open, extended, and I went left instead of going right. All right, Christian Family Church, Douglas. We have one Sony camcorder. It's like 8 years old. Audio config is a post-fader mix out of an M32, which is what we do. And he just wants help on the audio mix. So you guys help me out on this. We will give you some feedback on the audio mix here. Let's go back to the band starting. All right, so I'm going to turn up and we can listen to it for a minute.
We sing when I'm in the roughest water. I won't go under.
He's panned way too far to the right.
When I'm in,
It's very like weird to hear the lead vocal all just in one ear.
that you won't let me down. We sing
I like the guitar mix. The guitar mix is good.
and down to nothing. Come on.
Drums are sitting pretty nicely.
You are always up to something good.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're trying to do with the vocals, like creating separation. It's just too far.
Always up to something good.
And I know that's hard on a post-fader bus mix because you're not actively adjusting that. And if you have different singers singing.
Nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good.
It's a pretty balanced mix, y'all.
Even through the deepest valley, you go before me, you are here.
Your kick is nice and tight.
For I know you'll never leave me. Your love surrounds me, I won't fear.
I feel like
When I'm broken
maybe vocals are...
and down to nothing, hey, I know that you are always up to something good.
Y'all hear anything feedback-wise? I can maybe use a little more bass guitar. That's very nitpicky. It's really just the panning. And maybe just a little more reverb on the vocals or adding a little more audience mics. I know I say that a lot, but that's just something I hear a lot is the vocals still seem pretty direct to me. Like, I don't know if that makes sense when I say that, but like, I want it to feel like a live album kind of feeling, not like just straight into the board. So
There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to
you guys got any thoughts?
something good.
Yeah. More verb.
Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You are always faithful. Let's go. Through the darkest night, you are on my
Well, I don't think they're using a matrix though. They're using a stereo bus. Drop out. Back in. All right. Yeah, he's up to something good. And y'all sound really good. I would just maybe tweak that panning a little bit. I know that can be hard when you have multiple vocalists leading different songs. We run into that as well because nobody is even manning our stream mix. So I've learned I just have to be a little more careful with the panning of the vocals. My vocal is not panned at all. So even whenever I'm singing harmonies, I'm still in just straight up. So if he is like your lead worship leader, maybe don't pan him, even though he's on the right side of the screen, you know. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. But yeah, very nice. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to close this window, or else I'm gonna keep looking at it. Goodbye. All right. Before we get into this next stream review, let's see if there's any questions that you guys have in the chat. Any worship and tech questions, and then we will be looking at, I cannot say your first name, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, this church from Sweden. They're a church in Sweden with about 250 people, and they do an interesting thing with their audio mix. But let's see if you guys have any questions over here in the chat. What does your planning center service look like? Come on, focus. It doesn't like it when I look down like that because it can't see my face. Sure, we can look at my planning center set, and maybe I'll just show you last week. So here's just our general layout. We have different service types. We don't really use choir songs anymore. I've got this Ryland Has COVID emergency plan that is on here that has just 4 songs that are female led, that because we use Planning Center Music Stand for everything, for all of our people on stage. Not all of our pianist and our bass player and our strings player use it on iPads or different screens, which maybe I'll do a video about that sometime, showing how we integrate all that. So that's always there. It's like, it's just up there just in case as a plan. Our senior high has their own planning center plans for their service. And then we have a 1045 service and an 815 service. So I try to plan out about 2 months in advance, schedule-wise, not people-wise. Not song-wise. Usually I'm 2 weeks out song-wise. I'm not going to lie, I got behind this week, and I have not planned the next Sunday. So that's I've kind of got it planned, but it's not really there. So here is this Sunday. We've got our times on here. Everybody that's scheduled. I've got some people that habitually do not answer the schedule, like my intern and my wife, that never respond to planning center requests. Holler at me in the comments if you feel my pain on that one, right? Or maybe you're one of those people that you're like, well, I'm there every Sunday. I mean, I don't really need to reply. It's fine. Let's see. We always have this kind of standard plan that we plug things into typically. Our services do not change terribly that much on a Sunday, and yours probably don't either. So I'll usually just make little notes here for what we're doing, like anything that's different in the song, like how in Overcome we're actually going to end on a C, so that way we can just hold that C, go right into Raise a Hallelujah because it starts on a C, things like that. And then they will go in, like if we go back to Easter, they will go into these, and under detail, we will plug all of our lighting cue notes into here. If it's not being done via MIDI, we have a lighting operator that will watch a little countdown timer that's assigned via ProPresenter, and so they know at the start of the song, click the button. They're literally just clicking a play button on our Jan's Vista M1. At 141, click it again. We just write out what it is, so that way when they're looking at the order in our Vista, they know they're on the right cue. So that's how that's working. Each Each song is going to have bass tutorials, drum tutorials, electric guitars, click tracks. If I can find stuff on YouTube, I'll plug those in. Vocal part, harmony parts, all of those things. So that way, my goal with Planning Center is that when we come to rehearsal on Wednesday nights, that it's a rehearsal. And my team is awesome. They've really gotten great about this. They come prepared. So that way, Wednesday nights, we run through the songs. And then by Sunday morning, our run through on Sunday mornings, we're not having to worry about anything. It's more like, is the tech working? So I'm usually putting who's doing what, just little instructions, things like that. The main people that utilize our Planning Center plans is our tech team, to just kind of see who's doing what on what songs, and our audio guy, and then just our staff to know like when in the service we're doing certain things. So I don't know, hopefully that gives you some inspiration or something. Pain felt. Planning Center. Yeah, I get it though, I don't always respond either, and I'm the one who sends the request. You're very welcome, very welcome. I wonder how I say your name. Malkija? Malkija. At first I thought it said Malachi, but no. Thanks so much for asking that, though. I love just getting to share a little behind the scenes like that. Any other questions you guys might have before we move on to this next live stream review? Oh my gosh, guys. It's 11:02. We've already been going for an hour. You know what? We are going to do... We're going to do one more live stream review. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be a little biased here. And we're going to... Let's see. Maybe we'll do two. Let's see if Jason did his. Jason has been a longtime supporter and commenter on the channel. And he submitted his live stream, and I want to make sure and get to his, and then we're going to do one other one after this. So I will only delete the ones out of the queue that we've actually done. But so no worries if you submitted and you didn't get in there yet. They're using 3 Panasonic HCX1s, 1 Nikon D85. That's on the mobile, and it's for keys. A Blackmagic Studio on the drums, a Blackmagic Television Studio Pro 4K, Pro Presenter 7 Soundcraft mixer in a separate room, and just wants feedback on general cameras and coloring and stuff. So let's see here. No, I think... This is probably one we submitted by. Okay, let's go back. I got a little pre-show segment here.
Of course, it's like, oh, again, I gotta do this. No, the tone right.
Put invite them to the action. Doing those
Oh, and then we got the countdown going. Let's go. Service start.
Let's stand our feet this morning. It's time for church. What I see. Do you see?
If you've done this song, can your church actually clap this beat? Because our church would not be able to. Oh, you got your roamer going. There you go.
I hear what I mean.
I love that. I hear it, I mean. All right, let's listen a little bit.
Dead things coming back to life again. I believe that there's a...
And that's all we're going to be able to listen to, because Elevation will flag this and stop this so quickly. I shouldn't have even said the name. It's like Voldemort. That's a cool shot right there. A little, oh, your wireless dropped out. That's something we've been trying to get our guys to do some of. It's just that little bit of fake crane stuff, with the gimbal. All right, so this is just start of service stuff right here, where it's like, okay, we're getting into the flow here. Let's just talk about cameras, coloring, angles. They look like they match really well. You got somebody in the back there on the gimbal, I see. I wonder what, you didn't say what wireless system you're using on that. Someone's texting me. Okay. So I would say, Jason, like on that big intro part, you know, it's got those huge drums. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Any song that's got that kind of stuff going, you know, you said you had I think you were using that wireless guy for your drum cam, but I would rather have just a dedicated thing. If you have enough cams, just to stick a cheap one back there to get little shots like that, to be able to accent your instrumentalists. Lighting looks great. Love the beams, but still having good key light on people. This roaming cam seems a little overexposed. Maybe just not quite as good dynamic range. I don't know. Yeah, see, it seems a little overexposed to me. And you just got to be careful, like right there, getting your guy in the shot. As a viewer, I don't know, that kind of takes me out of it, like seeing your camera op on stage. Nice medium shot there. I like the pacing of changing the shots. Here's a little pan. Do we have any real, I was going to say, do we have any like real close-ups? Of course it's out of focus, but there you go. There's a good one of the drums. That looks like a stationary shot to me. So maybe you could go to something like that. It's a nice kind of down the stage line shot. Yeah, that Nikon that you're on, it just seems like maybe if you back down the saturation, somehow flatten it just a little bit more to match these, it'll yeah, see what I mean? Like your whites, your highlights just seem a little overexposed. Gotta love that. That looks good. All right, Jason, that's all the time I have for you, dude. Sorry. I have a lunch thing here in just a minute. It's called It's My Day Off, and I need to actually spend time with my wife. There's one more that I wanted to hit today. South Point Church, OKC. Just because a fellow Okie. So Lonnie says that they are using an Atem ME1, Sony XD cams, the X70 camcorders, no operator, an A7 III, I think, mobile cam, and they have a video wall. So let's see how those cameras play with your video wall. This is Lonnie from South Point. Oh, is that OKC? Nice. That's pretty cool. Oh, does this? Oh, I thought it was going to orbit the whole time. That would be pretty intense. Where did you pay for? You got somebody in your church that shot these, Lonnie? Because, wait, is that a lake? We don't have mountains. These are just. That's kind of confusing. We went from shots of OKC to a mountain area, maybe. Oh, here we go. Love that you're showing actual like life of your church stuff before the service is about to start. It's like people are getting here. We're about to get going. Little vision statements here. Oh, this is the Easter intro.
Yes, Jesus Christ is alive.
Hey, Billy. Let's go.
He rose from the dead, and that day, that Easter Sunday morning, that first Easter,
this
when
is
Mary
good.
and Mary Magdalene and Salome went to the grave, expecting to anoint a dead body.
Lonnie, I wonder where you got this.
The angel sitting almost. I don't
keep going here.
prove. Believe it. That he was alive.
The Easter. Good morning, South Point Church. Come on with Would you stand to your feet? Happy Easter, everyone. Put your hands up. Hey.
Did every church do this song except us on Easter? Take it down a
Do
key.
you see what I see?
And down we go. All right, so yeah, this is what I was wondering about. You got that video wall in the background. Look at the Moray. I don't know what video wall you have, but with these cameras and the pretty tight sensor size and aperture, YouTube is not receiving it. You got some Moray going on in the background there. Well, let's see if we're still good. All right, we're good. All right. Yeah, there's just a lot of moray on the video back wall, but you know, if you get a camera's, oh my goodness, y'all, it's distracting though. If you get cameras that have a higher like your A7 III with a good lens, it should get rid of that. I don't know that much about LED walls and fixing those kinds of issues. And I may be wrong. That may just be the pattern on this song. So let's keep watching and see. I don't like the skin tone on him with these lights. I'm not sure what key lights you have. But, you know, you got a lot of purple coming from that back wall. It's a huge light source that's backlighting people. Maybe it was just combined with that purple. It made it look more orange. Let's keep going. All right, so I know I've seen that angle on the drums before with like Church on the Move doing it and stuff. It's okay. I prefer to have a drum shot that's like showing kind of the band on the other side of the drums. Oh, there you go. That's a great shot. That must be your A7 III. Very, very cool. Oh, you got two keyboards right next to each other like us. I love the energy. There we go. We got a pull out. Good pacing. This one, though, is a static shot. There you go. Good tight shot on the guitarist, on the instrumental. There you go. Sums up with that one. So this shot right here does not look nearly as good as the other side of the keyboardist that you were using. This shot looks great. And I think it's that same A7 III, which is probably the one I keep coming back to and saying, oh, that looks nice. Well, it's a much better camera. It's a great looking shot right there. But you see that, like watch this background. Did you see that? The moire change as they zoomed in and out. To me, that's distracting. I mean, that you probably spend a ton of money on that video wall. And at this point, it'd probably be much cheaper to try and get either a different lens for your broadcast camera there that's doing that. Let's see what other, if we have a different tight shot now that the background isn't that kind of straight, just plain color. Yeah, that looks great. Here we go. It doesn't look as bad there. I think it's the solid colors too can do that. If you guys have LED walls in your space and you have any tips to give, feel free to drop those in the chat. Because like I said, we don't have one. So I just from what I've heard, trying to give some thoughts there. Great looking shots though, man. You guys are doing awesome there in OKC. Very cool. All right, friends. I think that is going to wrap it up for today. Let's just check any of these final comments here. Awesome. Okay, well, once again, I hope that these are helpful to you guys, even though we can't get to every single one of the ones you submitted. And in the future, as we continue to do these, hopefully I'll have a co-host that we can bounce things off of, and it's just not my thoughts. But like I said, you always have the option, if you really, really do need some one-on-one consult feedback stuff, you can look at that link in the description and check out that Zoom call that we can do. It's pretty cheap, pretty affordable. And if you haven't liked this video yet and you've been here the whole time on this live stream, why don't you go ahead and do that for me? If you're watching this later, I appreciate you checking it out. But remember, guys, we can do a lot of great things. Let's do it all for God's glory. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.